Welcome to Live Vedanta, a podcast about simple living and high thinking. In the 20th essential verse from the Shrimad Bhagavad Gita, we're zooming into chapter 6, verse 9. In it, Shri Krishna explains the power of contemplation, which brings balance and equanimity, allowing us to see all beings as equal. By practicing inner peace, detachment, responding to all experiences with understanding, we can transcend likes and dislikes and engage with everyone as a reflection of the divine. Let's tune in to learn more.
Shri Krishna shares 3 very clear verses, that is 7, 8, and 9, on the utility of contemplation. In verse 7, he shares, those who contemplate, they become prashanta. Not shanta, prashanta means completely peaceful. In verse 7, completely peaceful in all circumstances. In verse 8, completely peaceful in all articles, with all articles. And then verse 9. This is our second verse of chapter 6. Completely peaceful with all beings. That which makes us the most restless is beings. Pujaswami Tejo Nanda described this verse as the best shloka for living with beings. The best shloka. Verse 9. Suhrin mityarudasina madhyasta dvesha bandhushu sadhushvapi cha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. Joy. This is a dense verse, so I'm not going to go into quarters. I'm just going to open this into a framework by which we can internalize this more. Vishishyate, which means excels. The one who contemplates excels. What does this look like? Samabuddhi. They have an evenness, an equality with all types of beings. Contemplation, one becomes excellent. This plays out as being prashanta or peaceful with 9 specific types of beings. The 10th is the etc. 9 specific, 1 general. I'm going to order these into, starting with negative beings. Beings here means people. The 3 descriptions of negative people are, I'm going to go from worst to less worst. Less worst. Papi. Papi is the one who never changes. Better than that, but still in the negative. Ari. An enemy is one who harms you even though you didn't cause this. Better than this, dvesha. Someone who harms you because they feel you harm them. These are all negative people. A negative person is one who takes your peace away, takes from your life. That's 987. Now I'm getting to 654. These are neutral people in your life. They don't take from you. They don't give to you. They have a passive relationship. 987, 6 is udasina. One who is indifferent. You win, good. You lose, good. Indifferent. 5, madhyastha, a well-wisher. They wish you well, but when it comes to words translating into actions, there's no action there. Number 4, bandhu, that is relatives. Why they're in the neutral, what teachers have ascribed to relatives is they are in our lives because they feel they have to be in our lives. Sometimes that's how relatives are. They're affectionate because they feel they have to be affectionate. It's not by choice. Now I shift us to the positive people. Those who give us peace. Number 3, mitra. This is a friend, one who challenges you to be your best, to be the most peaceful. Number 2, this is the worst to live with. This is the best to live with. Number 2 is a sadhu, one who lives for you. Their only work is to accomplish your work. And number 1 is I'm sorry, I said the words wrong. Number 2 is suhrid. Please forgive me. Suhrid means one who is large-hearted. They give with no plan to get. No reciprocity. Number 1 is sadhu. They are ready to change for you. A papi never changes. The sadhu ever changes. 9 specific types of people are shared, and Shri Krishna uses the word cha, which means etc. If you train in contemplation, you will become excellent. How so? You will be peaceful with people who take your peace, people who are neutral towards your peace, people who give you peace. In other words, you are independent. It is the independent person that can love the negative, the neutral, the positive. Sharing one tactile thought here. I was watching a movie recently where 2 people had to go into an intense interview, and so they smoked marijuana before they went into that interview to calm their nerves. Other people, they drink alcohol. What I do is I contemplate. Before I have an intense experience, I have a rough meeting I need to facilitate, I contemplate before I do so. And I find that I'm just more effective. That's why I recently stated with all of you, it's very easy to work with you. I said it's on account of you, but really it's on account of me. But that opportunity is available to all. Meaningful Mornings is free. Bhagavad Gita is free. Lift yourself by yourself. From inspiration. A theme of Bhagavad Gita's chapter 2 is selfishness. Now, more deeply, it is being egotistical, where one's identification is with the ego. Most commonly, this is feeling one is a individuality. You feeling you're an individual. This is an expression of being egotistical. Naturally, one is going to live in a selfish way. Chapters 3, 4, 5, these relate to purification. To purify this sense of I, that this is more than an individuality. If you can try to visualize, this purification in chapter 3, 4, 5 is a preparation for surgery. How many of you have gone through a serious surgery before, by a show of hands? How much preparation, and I haven't, I'm only sympathizing, how much preparation was required in terms of your diet and sleep, even hair on your body? 3, 4, 5 is preparation for surgery. Chapter 6, when we have let go of, as much as we can, deservership and doership, this, in a more technical sense, is letting go of duality. Deservership and doership, these are practices in duality. When you have let go of this as much as you can, then in chapter 6, you let go of that duality or separation fully. This is only possible through dhyana or contemplation, which is the surgery. Everyone's clear. I'm giving you lots of ways to reflect on these chapters. Chapter 6 is surgery on individuality. Shri Krishna shares in verse 5, for one to lift themselves up from feeling they're an individual, a great way to do this is to feel one's an instrument. That will come in chapter 11. The way that I had shared in this chapter is to really relate to an ideal. It is the ideal that lifts the mind to the intellect. I again come back to steadiness. That itself is an ideal that you will never miss meaningful morning. Doesn't matter what time zone you're in, it doesn't matter how you feel. I see a strong difference between different platforms and steadiness. In verse 9, Shri Krishna is sharing, those who have lifted themselves up, mind to intellect, then to the ego, that is contemplation, where you're trying to change the identification of the ego. If you can do this, you will excel. Excelling will feel like one being balanced with circumstances, articles, and in verse 9, beings. The papi, the ari, the dvesha, their relationship with us tends to lead to a net negative. Our interactions with them leave us more negative. The udasina, madhyastha, and bandhu, they are net neutral. When we relate to them, our peace is not negative nor positive, it is neutral. The mitra, suhrit, and sadhu, they're net positive. When we relate to them, we feel more peaceful. Now come back to vishishyate. The one who excels is balanced with net negative, net neutral, net positive. The implication of this is they are independent. They have nothing to gain, so they have nothing to lose. This is the utility of contemplation. You go from individuality to independence. It is those who are independent that love. Those in our Narada Bhakti Sutra course have repeatedly shared bhakti or anuraga is loving without I, loving not as an individual. Shri Krishna is the best icon of being independent and loving. He had the most relationships, yet he always remained independent of all of these relationships, including his biological family. Those in Bhagavatam, our course, I explicitly pointed that out. Wrapping up this verse and moving on to the next. Beings, relationships, this is the best training for one to understand their vices and values. When I wake up at 4:30, and I'm by myself essentially until 6:30, when I teach the highest vocation, it's unidirectional. You don't type questions, you can't ask questions. Emails the same way, I'm responding. It is when my kids wake up, when my wife wakes up, when guests come over, etc. That is where the real gauge of how quiet I am comes to be. When I don't relate to anyone, there's no one to challenge me. When I have lots of relationships, those are lots of challenges. My encouragement to all, as you go about relating, feeling this is training, to not react, but rather to respond. If you feel relating is training, you will respond. If you forget that relating is training, you will react. Reacting definitely causes a net negative. Now you have access to this verse, these 9 psychological personalities. If you just pause and try to understand where this person is on this spectrum, you will be much more loving with them.
If you've enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course on the Simplecast browser. This whole season of Essential Love is accompanied by an ebook by the same name. You can check out our show notes about how you can download the Essential Love ebook, which includes tools for deeper reflection on each of the verses. They go hand in hand. You can find all of this and more at chinmayaniagara.com. Until next time, inspire, love, be.